Hey everyone, Mug's out again, and you might want to get a bucket, because if you're anything like me, you're going to need to throw up when you hear about this one.
Yeah, for what it's worth, that disclaimer really didn't cut it. This video does discuss some disgustingly disturbing subject matter, so just brace yourself before you go into this one, okay? Viewer discretion strongly advised.
You may have heard about what recently happened in a school in Oklahoma, and if you haven't, brace yourself. So, Oklahoma, in and of itself, from what I've heard, not exactly known for its liberal opinions and nature. But there was a school that was recently shut for a while. It's open again now, but it was shut for a while because the parents of the other students there declared open season on a transgender student for using the female restroom. Now, first off, I'm going to want you to just try and put your stance on this whole thing, wherever you stand on the whole thing, whatever your opinion is. I'm just going to need you to put this aside for just a moment and try and get through the end of this video, okay? Now, what happened is this student had moved from another school. As far as I'm aware, from what I've seen in the articles and the papers and everything, the student had moved from another school where she had her own bathroom organised by the teachers, which in and of itself, for f***'s sake, are we still living in an age where people actually worry who they're near when they take a shit? Personally, if I'm in a bathroom, who I'm in there with is kind of the least of my worries, unless they're being an arsehole. And that part isn't exclusive to bathrooms. I can't stand sharing any space with anyone who's being an arsehole. For the most part, people just want to go into a bathroom, do their business, get out. That's it. It doesn't really matter who or what they are. 99.9 recurring percent of people, that's all they want. There are, admittedly, that 0.0, however many zeros, 1% of people who will go into a bathroom to perv. That has nothing to do with gender, or being transgender, or pretending to be transgender. That has to do with being a perv. Everything else, off the table, completely irrelevant. And let me just get this one last point out before I carry on, yeah? If someone is going to pretend to be transgender to get into the bathroom for the opposite sex and perv, they're gonna find a way in there anyway. No matter what laws or barriers you put in their way, they're gonna find a way in and be pervy. So anyway, yeah, this student, young girl, had been using a bathroom of her own at a previous school, moved to this new school. According to some reports, the teachers had organised a bathroom for her to use away from other students. According to other reports, she was having trouble finding it, or it wasn't there. It gets a bit convoluted at that point. So she used the female restroom, where allegedly, and I cannot stress that part enough, allegedly, another student saw her peeking under the doors. And a pinch of salt won't do it on that one. It's gonna take a whole barrel of salt. I am very ready to call bollocks on that one, because, as I say, most people just want to get into the bathroom, do their business, and get out. The chances are, if anything, she might have been leaning forwards a bit far to go to the toilet. I even doubt that much. I personally suspect, though I have no evidence for this whatsoever, but hey, when has that ever stopped anyone in this debate? I suspect that was made up because, oh dear, transgender in the bathroom. Ah! Panic! F*** off. So anyway, either way, whether it was true that she was peeking, or she was leaning forwards too far, or she wasn't, and it's all bollocks, the parents were not happy about this, and they kind of took to the school's social media and declared open season. In fact, one of the comments was, I believe here we have open season on these things and there's no bag limit. Just let that sink in. That is not just a threat of murder. That's a threat of massacre. That's a threat of multiple murder. Others were saying things like, oh, kick her, I'm paraphrasing there, the actual word was not her, kick her ass, she won't want to go into the bathroom anymore. And yeah, they were using all sorts of derogatory, get the word is on the screen, terms to describe her, it, the thing, and these parents were getting really into it. They were laughing at the previous comments, haha, never knew what to call them before, never knew what to call it before, the thing is ideal, and along those lines, and she's just... And here is the part where you might need the bucket, because I pretty much did. One of these parents said, if it wants to be a girl, a good sharp knife will help that process along. Again, I'm paraphrasing, I don't have it actually before me, but that was the gist of it. And that, I don't care where you stand on this whole debate. I don't give a shit if you are pro or con, or you think they're subhuman, or you think they're above reproach, or whatever. Wherever you stand on the entire debate, that statement, a good sharp knife will help it be a girl, that is a threat of horrific sexual violence and genital mutilation to a child. This was about, I think it was 7th grade, so that's 12 to 13 years old. 12 to 13, you don't know what the hell is going on in the world. You don't know what your own opinions are, let alone what everyone else means when they're talking about this sort of thing. So a 12, 13-year-old child has had adults threatening horrific genital mutilation and sexual violence because of something that she was born with, just because the body she was born with doesn't fit the way she is. And again, like I say, on this one, I don't care where you stand in the whole gamut of this entire thing, pro, con, whatever. If you are the sort of person who would threaten anyone, let alone a school child, with that sort of violence, you are the sort of person that I do not want to share a planet with. You are the sort of person that I am literally ashamed to share any sort of a genome with. I am actually ashamed to my very core that I am the same species as you. In fact, no, tell you what. Opinions can change. I'll change my opinion now. I am not the same species of you because you are subhuman if you are willing to threaten that sort of violence against anyone, especially a child, no matter what they are accused of having done. And in this case, the only thing we know for certain is that a transgender child went into the female restroom. As far as we're aware, that is all that happened. That is the only thing that can be eminently known. Empirically known, whatever. I'm getting lost in my anger here. You know what I mean anyway. I mean, do you not have a sense of shame? Do you not have a conscience or any sense of empathy? I look around and I see some bad things on the planet. I occasionally try and keep an optimistic outlook. I remember that I also share a genome with people like Patrick Stewart and Stephen Fry, and that makes me feel happy. It makes me feel like there actually might be something worth living for. That there are good people on the planet to counteract the people who would do this sort of thing. But no, I'm sorry, there is nothing that can make me feel better about knowing that I share some degree of a gene sequence with people who would be willing to do this. Choking on my own rage here. And I think that was a tea leaf. So yeah, that's about all I've really got to say with any degree of cogency on this subject, that whatever they have done or are alleged to have maybe done, you threaten a child with violence like this? You are subhuman. And what... Again, the whole thing about it, like I say, it's not exactly known for its liberal views, Oklahoma. The police, the sheriff's office, well, let's put it this way. The FBI were looking into whether this constituted hate speech. That's going to have been a short investigation. Do these threats of physical violence against a child for being transgender constitute hate speech? Well, tell you what, let's not even have a vote on this one. Let's just assume it's unanimous and go to lunch, because that is hate speech. And don't you even f***ing dare to say the words First Amendment, because, newsflash, freedom of speech, the First Amendment, it's not what you think it is. All these people who are claiming freedom of speech on this sort of thing. Yes, I'm going off a bit of a tangent here with this one, but f*** it, stick with me. All of the people who claim freedom of speech for this sort of thing, you are constitutioning wrong. Freedom of speech protects you from censorship by the government. If you have an unpopular opinion and the government comes along and says, we don't want you thinking like that, we don't want you saying these things, you shouldn't be sorry, this is American, you shouldn't be saying these things, it's you can't have these opinions. Well, again, that's my American accent while I'm angry, but I apologise for anyone that offended, because I think I was a little offended at my own attempt at that one. I will try better some other day. That is protected. You can then say to the government, well, you know what? You're trying to censor me. I've got a right to say these things. However, it doesn't protect you when you spout shit on social media and the social media tries to take you down. So, you know, this is, again, complete tangent. Alex Jones recently taken down. Don't want to discuss it too much here. Everyone's crying freedom of speech. Tough shit. Freedom of speech doesn't protect you from corporations. And second caveat there, freedom of speech has a little add-on. If you are spouting hate speech or incitement to violence or anything along those lines, ta-da! You're not protected. Because that is the sort of shit that even a government can step in and squash. So yeah, the FBI has looked into these things to see if they're hate speech. I don't know the outcome of that yet. It's actually probably going to be quite a long one, with interviews and all that sort of thing, and trying to track down the people who said what, and blah 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 blah. And the school has since reopened. Now, that's understandable. You can't keep a school closed because there's some controversy. Thankfully, that poor girl, as far as I'm aware, has not gone back to that school yet because she's fearing violence. Even in her own home, reports say that she was fearing violence. Couldn't sleep in her own bed. She was too scared. So I would ask, are you proud of yourself? But I'd be worried that the answer would be yes. So I'm not going to ask that, don't answer it. But yeah, school has reopened, the students are back. This is going to be a topic of debate going around there, don't pretend it's not. And the sheriff's office has said that they may still prosecute the parents who said these things. And you might think, yay, they might still prosecute. Well, yeah, I personally am disgusted to the essence of my being that is a we may still prosecute. The things that these people have said, the things that these people have threatened against a child, and I know I'm driving that one into the ground, but I really want that to sink in, that these things were said about a child. If your police are not hunting down the people who said these things to prosecute them to the full extent of the law, there is something inherently wrong with your legal system. So, yeah, well, that's the tea finished. All I've really got to say on this now is basically a roundup of what I've been said, what I've said. People have threatened. Doesn't matter what your opinions are on the whole subject, doesn't matter where you stand, doesn't matter a single f***ing jot in this whole thing. This sort of violence has been threatened against a school child. If that's not the sort of thing that needs to be stamped out, then, well, hell, why have laws at all? Because clearly, if that's the sort of thing that is going to happen and we're going to allow to happen, we can give up right now on any sort of a civilized society, because that dream's dead. And I only hope I'm proven wrong on that one in the future. See you guys.